British elections have been called on 4th July 2024. These elections come at a very interesting moment in British history.
These people have lied to us repeatedly, and Labour, repeatedly. I know I've actually always told the truth.
Island nation is continuously redefining and reinventing itself. Though Britain was a creation of powerful invaders from Romans to Saxons to Vikings that overpowered the local people and redefined their identity. But with the rise of empire, from 18th century onwards, that amalgam of a nation was conveniently forgotten, giving way to Churchill's proud history of the English-speaking people.
We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
After the loss of empire and influx of immigrants from South Asia, Britain started to become a bit brown, falling in love with chicken tikka, Bangara, and Bollywood. Labour Party embraced Asians first as local councillors and then as members of parliament. Changing demographics and political dynamics have compelled the Tories, once notorious for being racist, to open their ranks for people of the colour. And they certainly left Labour behind when they brought in the likes of Sajid Javid and Priti Patel to powerful positions, a process of acceptability that has produced the first brown Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, in 2022, something unimaginable only a few years ago. This change has opened floodgates with more and more Asians joining the ranks of Conservative Party. One such young man is barrister ZAK Farhan Khan, who is now Tory candidate for Blackpool South in the forthcoming elections. ZAK, through his mannerism and articulation, has won hearts and minds in the upper echelons of Conservatives, winning endorsements from the likes of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, former leader of the House of Commons.
To vote for ZAK Khan, your Conservative candidate, on Thursday the 4th of July.
ZAK Khan is the right man for Blackpool South.
Moeed Pirzada spoke with him to understand hopes and aspirations of his generation of British Pakistanis. Before we move forward, let me remind you to subscribe to this channel and click on bell icon to receive notifications. Greater reach will help this channel in gaining weight and credibility to bring more diverse voices on this platform.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Moeed Pirzada in Washington. Joining me is Barrister ZAK Farhan Khan from Blackpool in United Kingdom. Barrister Khan is a parliamentary candidate from Conservative Party for the forthcoming elections in Britain on 4th of July. He's a second-generation British Pakistani, and through him and some other interviews, I want to understand how the second generation of Pakistani origin Britishers are looking at the British politics and their own sense of identity, their own role in this political structure. Barrister Khan, thank you so much for finding time for me from your very hectic campaign in Blackpool South.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Moeed. We are avid listeners of your programs and we thoroughly enjoy them in the UK.
Barrister, thank you so much. Barrister, I want to come straight away to the question. Why have you decided to join the Conservative Party? A whole generation for the past 50 years of Asian immigrants and your parental generation in this country has opted for Labour Party. They've seen at Conservatives as sort of, racist, against the Asians. Why have you chosen Conservative Party?
Look, this is the most amazing thing about politics. Politics are constantly changing and the dynamics behind things are constantly changing as well. So the same way what the requirements were of the first generation who came to this country are no longer there, where my father, who came to this country in the 60s, his predominant requirement was so that he could come into this country, his family could come into this country, whereas my requirements are slightly different. We are not as concerned with regards to immigration, and therefore I'm going to try and align myself with a party where I believe my values stand closest to. And I chose that to be the Conservative Party.
What values align with the Conservative Party? That's very interesting. Your values in Conservative Party.
So the very first one is the fact that we are generally quite conservative people. So that's the very first one. The second one being an entrepreneur, a businessman. I believe in low taxes. I believe in the fact that we should have the ability to spend the money, which we work hard to earn, in the manner in which we wish. And it shouldn't be for the state to spend our money. And therefore, actually, what does that do? It helps other local economies and local businesses so that I can go and spend my £100 in the local shop, which will then give an individual the ability to hire someone in that shop, a local individual. And so this is what we have always wanted to promote, and this is the kind of free trade agreements which we would wish for within other countries.
So I understand that basic issue is the political economy issue, but when you say conservative values, it comes to the mind as if you're saying that the Labour values on family and relationships between the families are different from the conservative. Is it something like this, that there is a moral issue between the Labour and the conservative, like the Labour are more believe in a more freer society and conservatives are more old-fashioned? Is there something like that as well?
Well, I think, look, with regards to old-fashioned and newer societies, the Conservative Party stands by the old traditional values, the values of family, for example, where it's acceptable for me to have my 2 children with me and for me to take care of my elders, my family members, and it shouldn't be for the state to take care of them. And so these are the kind of values which I believe in, my family members believe in. And
so you think that the state, you think, just like the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party in the United States, that the state should not play a larger role in the welfare of the public. The people should be responsible for themselves.
Of course, look, we have a God-given right to make decisions and choices by ourselves, and it shouldn't be for somebody else to make those choices. And therefore, we should have it within ourselves to be able to make the right choices with the right decisions. And so, of course, this is what we continually promote, and we would expect for this to take place throughout the world.
So, has the Conservative Party changed? You know, what was that speech about rivers of the blood? Was that Tory party? Was that Labour? The rivers of the blood speech in the 1960s?
Well, yeah, in the 1960s, I think that was in relation to the Conservatives, but I think I can't speak for the Conservative Party in the 1960s. I wasn't around at that time. But what I can tell you about is from 2010 onwards, David Cameron, as I was growing up, I'd seen Labour play their role in our upbringing and how they were able to control that. Whereas David Cameron, an individual who's done great things, had spent some great time with individuals, in particular in somewhere in Birmingham, where he was able to come and spend 2 weeks so that he could get to know and understand the Asian community. And actually, that was far more represented by the Conservative Party, which made me align with them.
Well, I see there's a process that the Conservative Party has also changed. I mean, perhaps the Conservative Party has become more warmer and more receptive, and has opened up more doors for the Asian community, because they've realized that the Asian community has arrived. They have become a major election buster. I mean, they can change the election results. I mean, could it be something like this, that the Conservatives have brought in the Asian community, they have changed themselves?
I think, look, it plays in both parts. I think the Asian community has been far more aligned with the Conservatives. Their values have changed, and with time, their priorities have changed. We've realized that we need to be stricter on crime, on family, on education. And so actually it's played hand in hand, where the Conservatives have realized that actually the Muslim vote or the Asian vote will count and be far more important than what it was in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s. And so, yes, the Conservative Party was the first party where we've had a Muslim chancellor, an Asian chancellor. We've had a Asian Home Secretary.
Can you name them? Can you name them so that we can bring the profile up? Can you name these prominent Conservative Asians?
So they were all the one person, Sajid Javid, who was the Home Secretary, the Chancellor. We've obviously got an Asian Prime Minister, which is
Rishi
the first time
right?
of its kind. Like, yes. We also had great individuals like Baroness Saida Warsi, who was a part of the Conservative government. And so we've always had...
And Priti Patel.
Suella Braverman, all of these individuals are from the Asia and the continent, yes.
So has Labour not created such leadership? I mean, Mayor of London, Sadiq, I mean, they have not created.
Yes.
Sadiq Khan is the Mayor of London, very prominent personality.
So
Has Labour not
within
created
the
such prominent Asian leaders?
we've not given Labour the opportunity to be in power. And so up until 2010, they didn't have any Asians who had held ministerial positions. And so, yes, they do have some great hardworking individuals. Afzal Khan, the MP for Gorton, Naz Shah, she's an amazing individual, Lord Wajid Khan. So they do have Asians, but of course, they've not been in power.
Okay, one of your testimonial and recommendation, which I was looking at from Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, who has been a former leader of the House, leader of the Conservative Party in the House of Commons, he says about you that ZAK Khan strongly believes in Brexit. He believes in conservative values. He's a true conservative. He will help in the controlling the migration, and he believes in lower taxes.
ZAK Khan is the right man for Blackpool South. He's a really impressive, true Conservative who will work hard for his constituency. He's somebody who wants to deliver on proper Conservative policies. He wants to see Brexit carried out to its fullest advantage, to control migration and to cut taxes. I've had the pleasure of meeting him on a number of occasions, and always he's impressed me as somebody who will do his bit for the party and the country. Vote Conservative, vote for ZAK.
Now, controlling the migration looks like something as if you have betrayed your own community. I mean, you are, after all, the offspring in the second generation of parents that came from Pakistan, and you represent the Asian community where everybody came from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. And here the Conservative Party is relying upon you for helping stop the immigration. What is this?
So look, there's a difference. And this is the part which most people fail to understand. There's a difference between an economic migrant and an illegal immigrant.
Okay.
So the illegal immigrant, individuals who are paying up to £25,000 to come over on dingy boats through safe countries and come into our country to claim asylum. Our forefathers or individuals who came over in the 60s were economic migrants. And actually, we were the offspring of individuals who were extremely hardworking. And so we've been able to achieve the position of the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, and so on and so forth. But there's a big difference. And what I'm standing by is our borders. We should have secure borders where we are aware of who's coming into our country and who's not coming in. So when you come into our country illegally, then obviously we have no understanding of who these individuals are, what crimes they've committed. And actually what they're doing is they're supporting these gang links and rings who are then going off to support other criminal activities.
But could it also be that, the Asian community also supported Brexit, which surprised me at the time?
Of course.
Because now Asians see themselves as Britishers, and they didn't want the Polish, the Czechs, and the other Europeans to come and take their jobs.
Yeah. So this isn't something which is just solely focusing on just the Asian community. We are talking about the Europeans, the Albanians who are coming into the UK, the Romanians who are coming in. And we have individuals who are coming into our country, abusing our NHS, they're abusing our social welfare beings, they're abusing our housing, and they're claiming these benefits and then going back home without actually becoming a part of our society. And so this is wrong, right? And I've spoken to hundreds and thousands of Asians who completely agree with us, because actually we're very extremely hardworking people.
So where is the identity of the British-born Pakistanis, Where do you fit in? Do you fit in Britain? Do you fit in Pakistan? Where are you more comfortable? What is your identity now?
Look, I'm British. And of course, I'm British Pakistani, so our heritage is Pakistan. But actually, I think we're a lost identity. And I think you can relate with this because, look, you are originally from Pakistan and now you are living in America. And you're not truly accepted as being American, but yet you're not accepted in Pakistan. So for me and a lot of individuals, who are the second generation, we're a lost identity where we're not accepted in our home countries to the full extent, and we suffer racism. I've been out on the streets of Blackpool, and I suffered from racism. The Prime Minister raised the comment 2 days ago that it was unacceptable for him to be sworn at, and the P word was used against him. And so actually it's an issue which we have to truly understand and find a resolution for this outcome.
No, but my case is different. You see, I'm a fully integrated Pakistani. I mean, I'm only a politically persecuted Pakistani in the sense that if the situation improves, I can go back. I don't really have an identity conflict in Pakistan apart from being intellectual problems or whatever. And I'm in a society which is very open to immigrants. You know, I'm in America, which is a country created by the immigrants. I mean, it's very difficult to take a position against the immigrants in this country because but yeah. Britain is different. Britain is the pure society where 80% population is English in origin. The rest of all minorities, including Welsh and Scottish and Irish and all the Asians and everybody, people from every part of the world, are less than 20%. I think 82% are English. So it's a very different structure. So that was what I meant. You're not English, you're British. I mean, the title you carry, your passport, you're British, right? But at the same time, when you go to Pakistan, do you feel comfortable as being part of Pakistan, or you are also unique there?
Look, we are always unique. And so I think the heritage which we hold is always very, very special to individuals. And I think that we should keep hold of this heritage because it's something to be proud of. And the great culture which we brought over to the UK, we should also be proud of this. But the issue we have is when we go to Pakistan, we're not always able to align with their mindsets. And so there's a difficulty when it comes to that as well. And being a barrister, I've represented hundreds and thousands of cases where we've found that marriages are no longer taking place there. Divorce rates are increasing. Individuals who are coming over to the UK are finding it a lot more difficult to become more established here. And so, yes, it's a part of society which we should be taking the best out of. But actually, there's a far greater issue going forward, because the future generations, are they going to align with Pakistan or are they going to align with England? And
yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, you mentioned the families, the immigration, the marriages. So do you think that the old connection between Pakistan and the British Pakistani community that was there in 1960s, 70s is grinding to a halt? It's breaking down. This is not really working. This marriage route is not working anymore.
It's not. And look, if I'm completely honest with you, the political position in Pakistan is horrendous. I've spoken to hundreds of people who are no longer feeling comfortable in returning to Pakistan or wanting to go to Pakistan. And during the PTI tenure, there were thousands of individuals who were happy to go and support Pakistan. And actually, even within the government, they were so pleased at that fact. But unfortunately, the circumstances are such that people are choosing not to. Hence why you can see yourselves all of the migration or the holiday period, which the British, the Australian Pakistanis or the European Pakistanis who would go and return back to Pakistan, it's not happening in the same way. So
you're basically saying that the British Pakistanis are less welcome, are less eager, and the Pakistan was somehow the Pakistan under Imran Khan was inspiring the British Pakistani diaspora more. They're not getting the same vibes from that Pakistan anymore. Is this what you're saying?
Exactly what I'm saying. And I can use the example of the number of protests which take place constantly within Manchester, within Birmingham, within London, and they're all PTI protests. And so it's interesting to see future generations who haven't even been to Pakistan, but because of their heritage, they felt far more aligned with Pakistan's culture. And so it's a shame, really, because actually future generations, such as my son, who's 3 years old, what relationship will he have with Pakistan? If I'm his father and I'm not as inclined to return back to Pakistan for holidays, why would he want to?
So is the returning back to Pakistan in holidays is affected? Is investments which the British Pakistani community used to do in Jhelum, in Dina, in Sohawa, in Meerpur, in Dujal, in Faisalabad, in buying the property, selling the property, investing into the hotels and restaurants and plazas, is this all drying up now?
It is. It is. People are now finding, unfortunately, other countries to invest in, right? And the entire Punjab belt, where the migration took place in the 60s and the 70s, all of that culture and all of the individuals are no longer wanting to return back to Pakistan. And it's a shame, really, because of the political unrest in Pakistan, people are far more inclined to go to look at safer countries to invest in, to take their children in, and to holiday at. And so it's a shame. It's a real shame.
Very, very interesting. Moving forward, another one of your conservative leader, very important, leveling minister, Simon Clarke. In the first instance, what is a leveling minister? Because we've never heard this term before, leveling minister.
So a leveling minister is a minister who is able to ensure that there's not a disparity between the South and the North. And so generally, majority of politics have taken place in Westminster, whereas we felt being a part of the North, it should be equal. And therefore, what we're trying to do is send more offices, more government buildings up north in the Midlands and in Leeds. And so we're trying to enable further investments into the north of England to ensure that there's less of a disparity there.
The north of the England is less developed as compared to south. London is in south, right? So the south of England is more developed and more richer, and the north, where we have Scotland and Wales, is less developed.
Yeah. Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Because people many of my viewers are in Pakistan or in United States or all over the world, they might not be knowing about these things. But this leveling minister, Simon Clarke, has actually also recommended you, and very interesting testimonial when he says that.
Just on that point.
Yes.
Just on that point, I apologize for interrupting there. Boris Johnson's special advisors specifically asked about Imran Khan whilst he was sending me the video. And he's a keen supporter of Imran Khan and has continued to do so.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, there is a picture in which Boris Johnson is taking a selfie with Imran Khan.
Well, that shows, right? So Boris Johnson is a superstar in the UK, but yet he was the one who was taking the selfie with the real superstar Imran Khan.
I will try to basically impose that, the picture here of Boris Johnson taking the selfie. I'll try to basically put it there on the screen. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah. So Simon Clarke says about you, the Blackpool is a left behind area, and ZAK Khan can help, is the right guy to help Blackpool.
My name's Simon Clarke. I've been the Levelling Up Secretary and the Chief Secretary to the Treasury. And in that time, I've met some fantastic candidates fighting for communities across the UK. One of those people is ZAK Khan, and I'm so pleased he is the Conservative candidate for Blackpool South at this election. ZAK is someone who understands the need to deliver for left-behind towns like Blackpool, but it's just like my own here in Middlesbrough, is somewhere that really needs a local champion who will stand up for you. Please give your support to ZAK on July the 4th.
What if you are elected? So Conservatives are in a very hot spot at the moment, but if you are elected as an MP for Blackpool, what can you do for Blackpool?
So look, Blackpool is one of the most deprived areas in England, and it's rife with crime, and it's unfortunate because actually we've had a Labour-held council here for so long, where we have derelict businesses, buildings, where there's a real demand for regeneration throughout the entirety of Blackpool. And so what I would be looking to do is to hold Simon Clarke to account and ask for him to send special funding. We've recently, in the past 2 years, received over £90 million. But unfortunately, the council hasn't been able to ensure that all of the areas of Blackpool have received funding. And so it's the same issue, whether it be in deprived areas of Pakistan, where individuals aren't receiving the relevant funding. And so actually what we need to do is we need to make it equal and fair, So just because
But
there's an
how?
area
But
within
how
this,
Blackpool has been left behind? When I was in Britain, I left Britain in 2007, but I remember coming to Blackpool as a tourist place. I remember coming here for the beaches and for the tower and for
yes.
the illumination. So what went wrong for Blackpool?
Look, I think unfortunately Blackpool is still stuck in the 80s and the 90s, where the buildings and the beaches are the only things that are left there. And I have a picture of my father holding my hand whilst being in Blackpool. And I went back to that location and it's identical. It's not developed, but actually it's deteriorated. And so it's a shame that we've not been able to improve the area of Blackpool in the same way we have Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, Leeds, right? So we need to develop that. We need to bring in more businesses into the area. We need to encourage for individuals to purchase their first home in Blackpool because the average house price is so low here. And so it's a great opportunity for individuals to get onto the property market here.
Okay, coming back to Sir Jacob Rees' recommendation, which I found very interesting, very enthusiastic. I was very surprised that some of the very important conservative leaders, I mean, including the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, has recommended. How have you cultivated the top leadership of the Conservative Party that they have issued such strong recommendations for you on videos, including Boris Johnson?
Hi folks, it's Boris Johnson here, urging everybody in Blackpool South constituency to vote for ZAK Khan, your Conservative candidate, on Thursday the 4th of July. Voting for ZAK is the only way to avoid the horror of what looks like being a Starmageddon supermajority with ever more wokery, more illegal immigration, more pointless kowtowing to Brussels, and of course ever higher taxation for you and your family under Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. Don't let it happen. Vote for ZAK Thursday the 4th of July.
How is that even possible? How it happened?
It's all about relationships, and it's all about nurturing and developing those relationships. And actually, this is one of my specialities. It's something I truly enjoy, where I'm able to understand and speak to people and resonate with people. And it actually allows us to put forward our case. So when we have issues within Manchester, Birmingham, or the north of England, we're then able to relay that information back on to the government and express our concerns. And it's extremely important, no matter which country you're a part of, to be working hard with the government.
So Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's recommendation says that you are a strong supporter of Brexit and you're going to implement the Brexit policies. But I thought that the Brexit deal is done after the initial failures. Boris Johnson was able to implement a Brexit deal. I mean, when Theresa May failed. So what is left in Brexit to be implemented?
So one of the key issues within the Brexit referendum, which took place, was in relation to the European Courts of Justice. So the UK is a sovereign state. It's a state which is governed by His Royal Highness King Charles. And unfortunately, the laws which are being implemented are over in Europe. And so actually for me, as a proud British, I believe that we have the right to govern ourselves. And it shouldn't be for other countries to tell us what we can and can't do. And so this is the real concern, where people are abusing the laws in Europe to stay in the UK. And as a lawyer, I've seen people do that continually. And so for me, it's about bringing the sovereignty back into Great Britain.
But Barrister Khan, thousands of Britishers are also living all across Europe, in France, in Germany, especially in Spain. So by implementing this Brexit exit, you have also created huge problems for the Britishers. What about our passports? I think the only thing that really find very precious about my British connection is my passport. Can we now travel easily across Europe?
We can. Look, it's very easy, it's very convenient, and it's similar to getting a visa on the day. So it's visa upon entry for many individuals. And this is something which is done within the Middle East. It's done in Europe. It's done in America. So it's quite a normal thing. So there's no real hard implications on the fact that we've left Brexit, the European Union. But actually, if we look at Europe as a whole, it's becoming far more right-wing, right? And so this is of real concern. So this is the focus.
No, but the
where we should
British
be-
politics has also moved to the right. There used to be very strong left, in the British politics. I mean, look at what happened to people like George Galloway. I mean, at one point, George Galloway was a very popular politician. Now he's a fringe politician. I
He
mean,
is.
who was the last Labour leader? Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, who was actually booted out of the Labour Party because of his views. So
Yeah.
the British politics, you said that Europe is moving to the right. The British politics has also moved to the right.
It has, but this is the issue, right? So unfortunately, the left is coming into power, and I think I'm quite open with saying this.
Unfortunately, you think that it's unfortunate the left is coming to the power?
So Sir Keir is going to be our next prime minister, and I think it's
Looks like.
accepted within. Yes, yeah. So Sir Keir is going to become the next prime minister in the UK, Keir Starmer, and it's unfortunate that we're leaning towards the left. But even Sir Keir understands and accepts that he's not willing to accept Jeremy Corbyn, who was the former leader of the Labour Party within the Labour Party, and so has exiled him from the Labour Party.
So
And
why it
it's
has
standing-
happened? I mean, someone like Jeremy Corbyn, who had been the voice and the head of the Labour Party, he has been thrown out of the Labour Party. He's not even a candidate for the Labour Party. I think he's standing independently. So what happened?
So I think you should ask the Labour Party this question, but my response would be anyone who is so left inclined, of course, their values are no longer aligning with the Labour Party. And so what we should be doing is we should be focusing on more central issues. And actually, in order for us to succeed as a country, whether it be the UK or America or the European countries, it should always be the centralists who are able to get us out of the difficult situations which we are suffering from worldwide, right? So whether it be the Ukraine-Russia war, whether it be the cost of living crisis, these are all issues which are taking place throughout the world. And it's not just something which is dedicated just to the UK, Europe, or to America, but it's also happening in Pakistan with the cost of living. And so actually what we need to do is we need to overcome these issues and the crisis within the Middle East, and we need to find a resolution.
So my last question to you is this, that I was looking at the polls, even after the very good debate that Rishi Sunak had with Keir Starmer, the Labour is 20 points, more than 20 points ahead of the Conservatives. So the possibility that most of you are going to lose your candidature in the election on 4th July. So what if you don't win? How will you continue to serve the Conservative Party?
Look, I am a member of the disciplinary board, and I have been for more than 3 years now. And so I'm a part of that committee. I will continue with that role. I will continue to voice my conservative values, and I will continue to try and promote the Conservative Party. And being a British Pakistani, I will continue to work with the grassroots, because this is where it first originally started from. It was the grassroots campaigning, which I did, enjoyed, and I was able to bring this forward to number 10, where they were able to understand and see for themselves the hard work which we were putting in. And so I would continue to do so.
Thank you, Barrister Khan. I will also try to interview someone from the other side of the politics, from the Labour Party. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.